our question was, who's keeping the shadow fleet afloat? So we discovered and we went after the ship owners who sold vessels into the Russian shadow fleet. That was a project about. Well, we started with a list of tankers that we knew were part of the shadow fleet. We compared a lot of data, satellite data, broker reports, maritime data to get hold of these vessels and to find their former owners. There's a lot of data out there, but you have to combine all that and to analyze that, and that's what we did. Well, we have a very good and strong data team, and our data journalists, they did the first analysis, and then we shared them with the other outlets, and then we asked them, well, look in your own country, which companies were involved, which companies sold vessels to the shadow fleet, and then we combined all that. I know that they were, but I at the moment I don't remember the names. We had our partner in Italy is IRPI, an investigative collective, and they did a lot of work in Italy as well. It was quite difficult because, well, we of course we knew that there were sanctions on some vessels, but because we wanted to know who sold the vessels. They were sold by shipping companies, so privately owned companies. So we didn't have we didn't have a lot of help of authorities, and we were the obstructions were the companies themselves who didn't want us to tell these stories, of course. We looked at it's a bit floating that shadow fleet, but at the moment when we published the story, there were we looked at 600 vessels, and more than a third of them, so 230, were sold by Western ship owners, and they made about $6 billion by selling these vessels. So that's quite a lot. When we came up with these results, we thought, well, there are these sanctions, and they are working to some extent. But on the other hand, there was still this shadow fleet, and that was hardly affected by the sanctions. And it's still going on, and that's a way for Russia to avoid the sanctions and sell oil, and they need these selling oil for financing their war. So it is still going on. I've been working on that for so long, so that the shadow fleet is really a term in my mind. Those are vessels, mostly old oil vessels that Russia uses to avoid the European sanctions and the price cap. So they are often based in some obscure countries. They don't have European or the necessary insurance, so they are not insured, and they are used to ship that oil across the world and sell it eventually. Well, that was the interesting case, because the people who sold these vessels, they said it's not illegal. And the reason for that is that they didn't sell these vessels to Russia directly, but they sold it to other companies in other countries, some kind of obscure companies on the Seychelles or in Hong Kong or in India. And from there, they went into the Russian shadow fleet. But the sellers, the European and Western companies, they could say, well, I didn't know about that. Because I think, on the one hand, it's a very important topic. It is a European topic, because the sanctions are, for a big part, they come from the European Parliament. And on the other hand, I thought it was very important because it is such a big cross-border investigation, and Follow the Money, we really believe that this is very important for journalism. So that's why we're trying to win.